Hello and welcome back. In this lesson today, we're going to demystify what makes a high-end website feel refined. When you peel away the motion and special effects, a premium site is really just a series of simple sections stacked in a thoughtful way. To prove that, we're going to walk through the homepage of humbleteam.com, the site of a product design studio that regularly wins website development awards. The goal isn't to marvel at the visuals today, but to actually study the underlying structure so that you can apply the same ideas to your work. Now, open the homepage and let it load, of course. If a cookie banner appears, dismiss it. Stop on the hero section and take a look at the layout. A full screen background video shows somebody holding a phone against a deep red backdrop. In the middle of the screen, large white text explains what the company does, and a short sentence offers context, and a single button invites you to take action. Above that, a transparent navigation bar, see here, floats over the video with the logo on one side and a few links in the center, and a contrasting get in touch button on the right side. Notice how the big headline and the navigation sit in their own horizontal lines with plenty of room to breathe. Even before you scroll, you can see the recurring recipe. A headline, supporting copy and an action, separated by generous space and set against a strong visual. Scroll slowly until the first new block fills the screen. In the center of this section is a dark panel with a headline about design for VC-backed startups and a sentence of explanation and a button again. The dark panel pops against the light background and immediately draws your eye. This is the attention grabber. Around it is a grid of product images cropped to fit together like a puzzle. Each screenshot is flush against its neighbor, and together they frame the text like a border. Despite the variety in the visuals, the underlying structure is nothing more than text balanced by pictures around it. This right here is a reusable module. A clear statement anchored in a symmetrical mosaic of visuals. Continue downward to the first industry-specific section for a second, where you'll see small colored tags like fintech, banking, and crypto. These introduce the topic. They sit right above the headline and function as quick signposts. Below, a bold headline here tells you that they design the future of finance for banks and fintechs. A line of copy below adds context, and a button again invites you to get in touch. To the right is a large 3D illustration of floating phones and cards in cool blues. It's the same split screen layout that we'll see again and again and again. Labels, statement, and copy on one side, and then a big visual on the other. The generous padding between the left and the right halves, these prevents the content from feeling cramped. Now scroll to the next block. The tags here read sport and fan experience. The headline states that they benchmark sports apps for their clients, and then a short sentence clarifies again. And then below that, the get in touch button again invites action. The right side once again features a playful composition, a mobile interface laid on a tennis court with sports equipment around it. Now, despite the change in subject and palette, the underlying layout is not changed. Labels above, headline, short copy, button, and a big image. Now, move down further and pause when the background turns dark. This section is labeled Health Tech, Clinic UX, and Legal UX. A headline again about designing regulated apps sits over a one-line explanation. On the right side again is a detailed render of a health monitoring app. The two-column pattern that you've seen is already repeated here once again. Scroll one more time to the section marked Automotive, Mobility, and HMI. The headline here mentions designing interfaces for vehicles on land, water, and a short sentence adds context once again. As you'll see, the Get in Touch button sits below. On the right here, a 3D scene of cars and interface overlays depicts a busy street. Little icons hover over cyclists and traffic lights. And again, the overall structure is completely unchanged. Only the content and colors have. This demonstrates how a single layout can adapt to very different subject matter without losing its integrity throughout the page. Now continue until you see a dark section again titled What's Cooking. Instead of the split layout here, this block uses a row of cards. Each card contains a small label, a short title, and sometimes a button. The images differ, but the cards share the same size, typeface, and spacing. By repeating this simple card component across the width of the page, the designers, they present a variety of announcements without clutter and without forcing you to learn a new layout for each item. Notice how the buttons here are every other one. This prevents it from looking the exact same throughout while staying basically the exact same. Now scroll until a light gradient background appears. On the left, the headline introduces the team and notes that they have more than 50 people. Underneath, a list of services is broken into 3 neat columns covering design, branding, and product strategy. Splitting the information into columns makes it easy to scan, organized, professional. A button at the bottom, again, over here, invites you to view their work. And on the right is a smartphone image that adds just a splash of color. It's another variation of the familiar pattern that we've seen above, but this is adapted to display a list instead of a paragraph. Now, keep scrolling and pause at the black section headed Honest Clients and Real Results. Here, a row of testimonial cards displays short quotes with the client's name and avatar. Each card here follows the same structure: a headline with the client's name, a couple of sentences of small feedback, and a small portrait. Because every card here is identical in size and formatting, you can scan across quickly. This is essentially the same card concept that we saw in the news section, except this is reused for social proof. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit more to the awards block. A single line introduces their digital awards, and underneath, a row of logos is evenly spaced across the page with tiny captions. There's nothing at all complicated here, just images aligned to a baseline and lots of breathing room. Finally, scroll to the bottom of the homepage. The background shifts back to the deep red tone from the hero section. A headline reads, "Let's talk." On the left are small portraits and contact details, and on the right, a simple form with a drop-down question, an email field, a message area, and a brightly colored button. This closing section mirrors the split layout used earlier. Content on one side, a form on the other, with generous margins to keep it calm. Take a moment to reflect, on the overall system throughout this website. Despite the variety of content, video, product imagery, case studies, announcements, service lists, testimonials, awards, and a contact form, the designers rely on only a few section types. A hero with a headline, body text, and a button establishes the tone. A split layout with labels, a statement, a line copy, a button, and a large visual repeats across different industries. A simple card component handles both news posts and testimonials. Those patterns repeat down the page. The generous spacing and careful alignment make everything feel intentional and sophisticated. Notice how you never had to guess where you're supposed to look. The hierarchy guides your eye from the headline to button. When you build your own high-end websites, start by defining a handful of reusable section templates like these. Decide what your hero is going to look like, how you'll present your features or case studies, and what your card component looks like. Once those building blocks are established, you can swap in different text and images without changing the underlying layout. This modular approach not only saves a ton of time, but also produces the cohesive, premium feel that you see here. Structure is not a constraint. It's the framework that lets creativity shine, and it's the reason that this page feels entirely effortless. Stay tuned for the next lesson, where we'll be diving deeper into the visual hierarchy of these websites. I'll see you on the next one.